Welcome to episode 51 of the Champagne Comedy Podcast, where we talk about the best Australian comedy show from the 90s ever made, Frontline, and other D-Generation comedy tidbits. My name is Matt, and joining this podcast today is Alison, Daniel, and Kim.
Hi.
Hey. And we have a very special guest reviewer. I somehow managed to convince to come on. I don't know how, don't know why. He is one half of the comedy duo Innes Lloyd as well. I guess it will be a duo, but something that he had done recently, it was a trio. And you know what? I'm not going to go into it. I'll let him explain. We actually have guest reviewer Rob Lloyd.
Thank you. Oh, and thank you so much for bringing a studio audience in. It's so fabulous to have so many people here just to record a podcast. I really love your commitment. And what an honor it is to be here on Champagne Comedy, my people. You know, yeah. I thought like Gem from the Dark Crystal, I thought I was the only one, and you are my Kiras. I have found people who love The Late Show and anything Working Dog related as much as I have. I'm so excited to be here and finally talk about, something that I love that isn't just to myself. This is awesome.
Well, speaking of which, you might as well reveal or just explain what had happened late last year. Well, at the time of this recording, I should say. It's 2023, but last year, 2022, was the 30th anniversary of The Late Show. And what did your comedy team do last year?
Well, Mr. Innes and I, for about 10 years, have been doing one-off tributes every year to celebrate certain milestones for, touchstones in pop culture and within the zeitgeist. So we've done, our first ever one was the 10th anniversary, the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters. We've done the anniversary of Labyrinth. We've done the anniversary of Princess Bride, the first Harry Potter film. We've done when the first episode of Red Dwarf aired anniversary. We've did the 40th anniversary of The Muppet Show. This is something we do every year. And we had to take a break from that, obviously, with that whole pandemic thing.
That thing.
So we thought we'd come back strong. So last year was, of course, the 30th anniversary of The Late Show. So I pitched to Innes going, I want to do a tribute, one of our tribute shows to The Late Show. And he said, look, I love The Late Show and great stuff like that, but no one's going to come see it. Nobody talks about it anymore. So it's not going to, but we'll do it, Rob. We'll do it because you're so passionate about it. And we put tickets on sale, and the first show sold out in 3 days. So much to the help of Champagne Comedy and the Late Show Facebook group shared the message around. And so we did two shows, one sellout, one close to sellout, just celebrating the history, the legacy, the songs, the sketches, and those fabulous people behind, the most influential comedy variety show in Australian history, especially over the last 30 years.
Well, that's a perfect explanation for it. In fact,
thank you very much. I didn't know I was being assessed on this. But of course, we're all obsessive nerds with The Late Show. Of course, you've got a checklist going, you better hit every single point or you are dead to us, Lloyd.
Well, I do have, if you don't mind, I do have a snippet of the footage you actually uploaded to YouTube of the stellar 1 hour show. It's actually a montage of your fabulous singing. So if you don't mind, you haven't heard this, but I compiled it earlier today.
I'm very interested to see how my voice has been manipulated.
All right. Well, I will say that the clip actually went for 10 minutes, but I got it down to a delicious minute.
Saw the Yu-Yang's real clear from the foot of Mount Dandenong. We just run out of Melbourne cliches. Just run out of Melbourne cliches.
Car wash, mouthwash, acting college, Boy Scout, your shout, eating porridge. These are things us wogs would never do. Oh, we don't like watching Channel 2.
Sandhurst Machinery has everything you're looking for. I got those standing at a party with an old friend whose name you cannot remember and having to introduce her to somebody else blues. I wanted to have a hit, but it's been out for weeks and nobody's buying it because it's 4.5 minutes of shit. Yeah, it's 4.5 minutes of shit. Skivvies are back!
Fantastic.
Oh, excellent.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So pretty much you can see one-off shows are just a way for me to finally sing the songs that I've been wanting to sing since I was a child. Like, you know, I only wanted to do, one of the many reasons I wanted to do the Muppet Show, Muppet Movie Anniversary Show, so I could sing all those incredible Paul Williams songs. And for this, you know, I'm actually a legitimate Things of Stone and Wood fan. So the
That's
perfect blend of my favorite band and my favorite comedy influence coming together for Melbourne Cliches. To get to open up the show with that was little 15-year-old Robbie is looking at 45-year-old Robbie now going, thank you, Rob.
I think you and I have something in common, Rob, because I used to do student radio back in the 90s, and we always used to get out my Muppet movie cassette, and we would sing over the top of Moving Right Along on the radio. I mean, helpfully no one was listening, so it was fine. But you know, there is absolutely a desire to just sort of be part of these classic moments, I think. So I completely understand where you're coming from there.
It's where we use the power of nostalgia for good.
Yeah.
If only DC Studios could to listen to us right now.
You got away with Doctor Who, and I don't know what the situation was with Daleks, because there's a lot of copyright on Daleks, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. Well, one of the sketches that I kind of forgot ever happened. There's a classic Doctor Who late show sketch with Rob Sitch playing Fourth Doctor, and Tony Martin playing a version of the Brigadier, which I think was written by Tony Martin because he grew up watching Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee Doctors when he was growing up in New Zealand. So, yeah, it's just how all the nerd and fandom all connect together. It's great.
So, Daniel, you went and saw this show, didn't you?
I did. I definitely had to represent the podcast and see what it was all about because, I didn't know that there would be a full video of it going up. So, you know, this could be my only opportunity to see it all. What I liked about the show is that there's a lot of stuff there for the hardcore fans, us nerds, but also plenty there for the people that don't know the subject matter so well.
Yeah, we try and keep it as open as possible for all audience members to come. I've been working within the comedy industry over 20 years, and I've done a lot of shows with a lot of strong supporters, if you would say. So we don't want to exclude them. We want to make everyone feel welcome.
Yeah, we want more people in our club.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's always great to find that balance of seeing how many facts we can include to trip up some of the hardcore fans, but also give some facts that all us fans know. But regular audience members go, actually, that's some really interesting stuff. So a big fact that we keep on pushing, one of our big elements is fun facts. We want to include as many fun facts about the Late Show, or any of our one-off tributes.
Well, I'm going to put you, Rob, and also Alison, Daniel, and Kim to a challenge. So if this works, I'll leave it in the podcast.
Is it just a general challenge?
Just general challenge.
Are you challenging me, Matthew? Are you challenging me to get a donut roll? Or we can go get with wet newspapers and go fop.
I've got my pencil here.
I haven't got any chocolate royals. How can I participate in this?
Maybe you can
I can go fop, I can't.
I can get a beer bottle. I'll go, shh. See, it's a trick. I'm going, See, this is what I'm saying. I don't get to talk to anyone about this.
Yay!
I can have a solo fight with wet newspaper. Is that helpful?
Look, yep. I'm not kink shaming anybody. Yep. I am not yucking anyone's yum. Everything's acceptable as long as there's consent.
Oh, you're good. You're good. All right. As I was saying, if this works, then I'll leave it in the podcast as well. And because this is a more visual than anything, this is probably a good chance to actually watch this snippet only on our YouTube channel. But we'll see how this goes. So please bear with me if this doesn't work. If not, I'll chop it out.
In the spirit of Rob's show, the idea here is to reach Bruce McAvaney impression level, I believe.
Yeah.
So when I was watching it on YouTube, I think I did reach Bruce McAvaney impression level. So, hopefully I can keep up.
Ines and I have been doing comedy for 10 years or so, and for often when we do music in our one-off shows, we bring in one of his oldest dear friends, Christian Bazzari. And Christian was a huge Muppets fan, so we just were riffing back and forth, and Ines was just watching on the side going, that's nice. And when it comes to the Late Show, it's the exact same thing. Christian introduced Ines to the Late Show back when they were kids. And so we were just riffing with our Bruce McAvaney impressions in rehearsals, and Ines is on the background going, I feel so left out. So,
Okay.
But yeah, we almost passed out. We were so excited.
I could go on, and
I will. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Kim, you're in. Daniel, you're in. Alison, Rob, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a pile of pancakes on my head, apparently.
All right. So the basis behind this will be. Can you all read that screen clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's a visual thing. So there's about 6 or 7 questions, and each of them you've got about 10 to 20 seconds to answer. There will be a timer, and it's either going to be true or false or multiple choice. Okay?
No.
Yep.
The shame.
So,
I'm going to be...
Okay.
Sorry, I got distracted by just adding accessories to my profile image. Oh, it's okay. It's all good.
Okay. You got a glass eye monocle. All right.
I gave my fox a monocle, so
There
that's
we
how
go.
smart I am, Matthew.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. So it's the quickest to respond will win. Okay. So here we go. A champagne comedy quiz. 3, 2, 1. True or false? Name of these two are Gavin and Oz. Or Gavin and Neville Oz. True or false? Hey! Everyone got it right. It's false. They're actually
That
Jeff
would be
and Terry
embarrassing.
Bailey.
Terry Bailey, yeah.
Hey.
Cool. Scoreboard. Who answered fast? Oh, Rob answered it quickly. So
He's the one with the fastest internet,
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. So that's where we're going now. So it's not about my actual knowledge. It's the speed of the internet. I see the sledging starting early here. That's unbelievable.
To be fair, we all know the answer, just that I think my internet's a bit slower than yours.
Yeah,
We'll
you're
see.
further away too.
Well, see,
see.
that's what anybody who isn't the winner would say.
Yeah.
But you're closer to Italy.
What are you saying, Daniel? You having a go at me? You having a go at me, Daniel? What do you mean by
I'm
that?
casting aspersions, mate.
All right.
Next.
Apologise to Booney.
Quiz.
Buddha Boon.
Name this potluck contestant. And that's an image of someone playing a mouth harmonica. So you got Piffy the Bell Ringer, Ian Evans, Greg Evans, or the Nelligan sisters. Everyone got it right. It's Ian Evans. So here we go. Who's the fastest? Daniel G. And he's in the lead.
Oh wow!
So Alison's gone up too.
And I could hear that. I could hear that daft clicking harmonica impression in my head when I saw it.
Look how quickly the mighty have fallen.
Yeah. Next.
I
Here we
start
go.
strong and then drop really quickly. I feel
During
like
the-
David Warner.
During the Mr. Whippy Grand Prix, what disqualified the soft serve gelati team? Serving slush puppies, the soft drink cans exploded, not using the indicator when turning, or playing Led Zeppelin's 3. 10 seconds.
Oh, I've forgotten this one.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Oh.
Oh, so 2 people got it right, 2 got it wrong. Interesting, but the answer was playing Led Zeppelin's 3.
because they didn't play dum 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 dum.
Rob's on fire, but Daniel G was the quickest. He's he's number one at the moment. It goes Daniel, Rob, Kim, and Alison. Wow. Okay. Rob has the highest streak of 3. Next quiz. Name this degenerate. And it's a still of someone from the Christmas thing. So it's John Harrison, Michael Veitch, Nick Buffalo, or Zeppo Datto. And everyone got it. It's John Harrison.
Really quick, that one.
Yeah. Well done. Who got... Daniel G still ahead.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he was the quickest. But Rob is second, Kim's third, Alison's on 4. So here we go. True or false? Philip Brady assisting Tony in this video store skit is referred to as a showbiz arsehole. True or false? No, 2 got it wrong.
Oh, man.
It's actually false. He was referred to as the celebrity stooge.
Celebrity stooge.
Rob and Daniel got it right. Well, we'll find out who actually, but Rob's ahead now.
Just overtook me by 50-something points.
All right.
Can I just say,
points?
I am working with the handicap of not having access to all the actual original episodes. I'm just going by clips I can find on YouTube and the officially released DVDs and VHSs.
You'll find out there's one question where if you've been listening to the podcast, you're going to get. If not, then that's proof that you haven't been listening to the podcast.
Oh, God.
So wait for it.
All right.
And I've been in all of them. Oh, my God.
Double the points. Who is allegedly this meant to be a parody of? Ross Warnicky, Steve Vizard, Daryl Summers, or Andrew Knight? And it's Rob during the dinner sketch in the ponytail. 7 seconds. Oh, 3 people got it right, 1 got it wrong.
Oh,
and
that
the
was
answer
me.
is Andrew Knight, apparently. So
Allegedly. Is it still alleged after 30-something years?
We just like to play with that. But
It is quite funny if you used to watch the panel and the way that Rob Sitch used to talk about how he'd travel all around Europe fishing and stuff like that. And I got to the point where I was watching it going, oh my God, he's become the character they was making fun of in the dinner party.
That's why he was so good at playing it.
Yep.
So good, no method acting. It's just actually him playing himself.
So Rob has a streak of 6 correct answers in a row, but Daniel's ahead. And then goes Rob, Alison, then Kim. Ooh. So last one. All the points. What does Mick call Alf in this sketch? Shit magnet or chick magnet? Oh, 50% of you got it right. The answer is...
Oh, come on. It's clearly chick magnet. That's not fair.
Shit magnet. Don't worry, no one got it. There was a false one. So, all right, who has come? Number 3. Alison has come third. Who's number 2? Rob has come at second. And number 1, wait for it, Daniel G has won.
Oh, wow.
Yay.
Well done. Handful.
If the last one was real, I would have won.
There you go.
I would have, yeah.
That's Kahoot. Thanks for playing. No, we
that went really well. I think it was the hat with the propeller on top in my avatar there that really made me smart.
Yeah. So there you go. Thank you for playing that, and I'm sorry for wasting 10 minutes of your time, everyone. All right, straight into it.
The view's magnificent. You'll bar up.
Houseboat Horror has been fully released on Blu-ray. Bought a copy of it. It's got the extra bit of the undiscovered masterpieces of the cinema in it from The Late Show. Now, that's the only newest clip that's been legally released. And you think, what can I say? I don't want to spoil it, but if you do make the purchase, it's probably best if you buy it for all the added extras for it, including that Late Show snippet. Unfortunately, I was disappointed by the quality of that clip. It looks like it's a YouTube rip. In fact, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I will say that there is a particular moment during the clip where it has that VHS crumple or the flicker, so which looks like it came from someone's particular copy. That's all I'm going to say. But other than that, Houseboat Horror, great interviews. I listened to the first 10 minutes of the commentary, and there's already 2 Late Show references from Tony Martin doing the commentary on it as well. There's nice little Easter eggs, I'll put it that way. Just get it if you want to bar up. Also, I've got a listener feedback. It is very
Pedantry.
and I love it. Brad, aka Movie Moose 2 on Twitter, says, "Hey guys, I'm surprised you didn't discuss the blatant advertising in episode 50 of Frontline. Kate and Marty are talking about Marty's holidays, and there's a huge Qantas logo in the background. Interesting considering their issues with Isuzu on a truck on the Late Show." So there is a screen grab which I posted on socials, and there's a Qantas logo in the background, which straight up full advertising. You wouldn't have that on ABC.
It was so ubiquitous that it just passed us by.
Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you very much, Brad.
Judith got an honour in the King's birthday honours, didn't she?
Yes, congratulations, Judith.
I really like what she said. She wasn't originally going to accept it, but she said because of an official recognition of this kind of this heightened power and sort of like scope given to a woman and at her age, she said it would be, remiss of her not to accept it, to show recognition for people, for women and people at that age and in this field. So she took it more as a symbol as opposed to, a recognition of the monarchy in any way, shape or form, which I found, classic Judith Lucy, just always bringing the class.
Yeah, good statement. And her sort of sometime comedy partner, Denise Scott, also got the same honour at the same time. But I've got a little quiz for everyone, as we've been kind of doing some quizzes just now. Can you name the other member of the Late Show cast who also has an Order of Australia honour? There's only one.
Tom Gleisner.
Correct.
Yay.
Yep.
Oh,
well done.
You were definitely paying attention.
I was about to say not
I
Mick.
was. No.
by any stretch of the imagination.
I would love to see Mick Malloy get his Order of Australia, but I suspect maybe he won't. And unless it's perhaps for doing comedy in war zones or that kind of thing, he might get one.
Comedy
what
in
he
war
would
zones.
have done to the Pope or to God, give him a big wedgie. I'm just not expecting if he got a sainthood. So imagine what he would do to Charles and Camilla. Whew.
I reckon he'd go to the ceremony and he'd sort of give the Governor General a bit of a wedgie. That'd be good.
Probably do what he did to the Channel 9 studio in one of the in the first episode of the Mick Malloy show.
Oh, just write his name when just urinating on the thing? Yeah, sure. Why not?
The good old days of the 1990s and live television on network TV. Hey,
but he would have to write Mick Malloy OA instead of just Mick Malloy though in piss. So he'd really have to have a few beers to get that done.
He'd have to keep it going, like drinking at the same time while
well, you need one of the hats with the beer cans and the straw, That'd be good.
The other thing that's come out since the last episode is nominations for the 2023 TV Week Logie Awards. For the first time in quite a long time, they're being hosted. The world's worst kept secret, rather, came true in that they're being hosted by Have You Been Paying Attention's very own Sam Pang?
Yes. Congrats.
Well done, Sam.
So...
And what about Tony? Yeah. Tony's involvement? Do we know anything about that yet?
Not sure, but he usually tends to mention it a couple of days out beforehand.
Kind of got the feeling that the fact that it's changing channels from Channel 9 to Channel 7 and the telecast is probably being done by a different production team means maybe Tony might not make it, but, fingers crossed, we live in hope.
Well, it's at the Star City.
And I think Pete Smith is kept at Channel 9 Studios in a cage, and Tony Martin won't do anything unless he can do it with Pete Smith. So there's a lot of mitigating factors. I think we do need to organise a escape. We need to liberate Pete Smith from Channel 9 Studios. So let's probably shouldn't say that online. Let's use code names, okay? I'll be Cue Ball, Daniel, you be 8 Ball, Alison, you be 9 Ball, Kim, you be 8 Ball, and Matt, you be Fur Ball.
Oh, I was going to be Cue Ball too.
Damn it.
Haven't we got 2 8 balls in that list?
Okay.
Operation Copper Art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Cheap Seats has been nominated for Most Outstanding Entertainment Program. Basically, Have You Been Paying Attention has been nominated for Most Popular Comedy Program and Most Outstanding Comedy Program.
And the Front Bar got a nomination as well, I believe.
Yeah.
for Mick.
They're up against Have You Been Paying
I
Attention?
think that was for sport, isn't
No,
it?
for comedy, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it has. I mean, the other one, it's not really working dog related, but Sean McAuliffe and his Mad as Hell program have both been nominated for various awards, with Sean up for the Gold Logie.
Come on, Sean, take it home.
Go Mouse Patrol.
That'd be a moment, wouldn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
Look, if Tom Gleeson can win and do a heartfelt / piss take of it all, imagine what Sean McAuliffe would do. Like last time he won a Logie, he came on and said, "I'd like to thank Jesus Christ." That is, of course, if he voted for me. If he didn't, then screw him.
yeah. And then he did thank the Dark Lord
The year
Savior.
later.
Yeah, so, who's he going to thank next? Daryl Summers?
So, look,
Are you suggesting that Daryl Summers is above Jesus in the hierarchy of sort of immortal
If you
beings?
talk to Daryl,
Yeah.
Well, in Daryl's world, absolutely.
He's had more resurrections.
I'm very surprised. You can imagine Daryl's many faces.
do the raised eyebrow and shifting cameras.
Yeah.
I can't wait for my meme to go live, viral again.
Yep.
Yeah. The
That is
surprise.
Matthew's meme.
Yeah,
if you
I'm
see it.
claiming that. It was I created it, spent a good half hour making it, and actually came tenfourth the other week, and someone tagged me in it, and I went, "Oh, that's mine.
That's mine.
Yeah, thank you." Actually, it was Danny Tregoning who actually tagged me on it. So, hey, Danny.
So, we're not telling you who to vote for the Gold Logie. Yeah, considering the rest of the field, Hamish Blake, Julia Morris, Lee Sales, the only actor in it, Mark Cole-Smith, Osher Ginsburg and Sonia Kruger. I definitely know whether if it's any of those ones or Sean McAuliffe. I prefer Sean McAuliffe.
Yeah.
Yeah, vote McAuliffe.
He should go up and take the award when he wins as Milo Kerrigan. Something like that.
All right, that truly is it for news. So,
Cool.
He should get Pete Smith to accept on his behalf, and then he could be banned from the Logies for life or whatever the.
Oh yes,
Right?
Dude looks like a
Dude
Logie.
looks like a Logie.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus!
It's Daniel G and his program guide. Back to you, mate.
there was a little bit of feedback from the article about Frontline in the last issue of the Green Guide. It's a very short piece titled "Stonewalling on Frontline." So Gerald Stone would have us believe he has never discussed Frontline with Stan Grant. Is it any wonder current affairs programs lack credibility? I worked for 7 years in a Melbourne TV newsroom and had some dealings with the station's current affairs department. Frontline is a very accurate portrayal of what goes on behind the scenes. Congratulations to the Frontline team. The program is brilliant. And that's from Jennifer Murray in Oakley.
Thanks, Jen.
So one other thing I found in the Sydney Morning Herald Guide is an article talking about why there's a swathe of red jacket wearing women in news and current affairs. For some reason, they managed to get a quote from Brooke Vandenberg. Now, as far as I can tell, that's from the character. That's not from Jane Kennedy playing her, according to the way the article is written. As to why Brooke wears a red jacket, Brooke Vandenberg says, I feel like a real hellbreaker in any colour, but red makes me feel positively fierce. The red jacket look is worn for one reason, to make you stand out more than anyone else on the program. Look out for the bitch fights in the wardrobe department if more than one female reporter wants to go the red jacket option. Gee, so much for its time. Nowadays it's white jackets, but back then it was red.
Boring point. It could just be fashion, you know. It was fashionable.
True.
Boring
We are
point.
talking like close to the mid-90s here.
Fashion.
That's the one.
I'll wear a red jacket interviewing a convicted murderer or the Prime Minister, as long as people know who's doing the story. And that article is right above a print ad for, funnily enough, an ad for a movie showing on Channel 10 later on this evening called Traces of Red, starring James Belushi, I should say. Yeah, considering that this is a 1992 thriller starring James Belushi and Lorraine Bracco, the synopsis goes like this. A Florida homicide detective tries to find out who is sending him mysterious notes and systematically killing his lovers. The review by Rod Bishop says that watching a thriller that fails to thrill is a bit like waiting for St Kilda to kick goals. Traces of Red borrows a bit from Jagged Edge, a bit from Sunset Boulevard, and so on. But this story of a detective tracking down a serial killer ultimately fails to provide much interest or involvement for its audience. Over on Channel 7 in Melbourne, we had Talk to the Animals. And in this episode, Mike Lester visits a remote sanctuary for endangered species. Pam Graham assists a dentist working on the teeth of gorillas at the Melbourne Zoo. And Kelly Pomeroy dives with whale sharks off the coast of Exmouth in Western Australia. So, that's in Melbourne. In Sydney, they had an episode of MacGyver.
Nice.
Where Nikki unknowingly becomes the target of an international terrorist group that is planning to detonate bombs across the city unless its imprisoned leader is released. Gee, bombs all over the place, and I'm guessing they had to be detonated by, like a paperclip and some alfoil. I'm guessing.
If it doesn't,
gee, I wonder who can do that.
If it doesn't have Murdoch as the villain, who they need to get out of that prison, then there's no point in watching it. Come on, MacGyver, bring out the big guns. We want Murdoch there, or whatever. Yeah, I think it was Murdoch. That was the villain's name in MacGyver. I'm doubting myself now. Gee, that stare that you're giving me, Daniel, is just burning through my soul.
I don't know either.
You need to do a MacGyver stage show.
I'm going by what's written in the guide.
I'm just reading what's on the paper, Rob.
Yeah. It was Talk to the Animals and MacGyver at 7:30, depending on where you are in the country, and then at 8:30, both territories got the Three Tenors in Concert 1994.
Of course.
Luciano Pavarotti, Placido Domingo, and Jose Carreras. Reunited to celebrate the staging of the World Cup in America. There was a similar Three Tenors concert in 1990, which aired on Channel 10 the previous Friday to this Monday. That was aired on Channel 10 as a spoiler for this Channel 7 showing of the 1994 concert. So if you want to see some of the ads that showed during the Channel 10 Three Tenors concert, you can have a look at VHS Review, Episode 19, on David M. Grant's YouTube page. All right, so let's go to Channel 10, and I hope you're all wanting to get your lifestyle on. Let's see what's on Healthy, Wealthy and Wise.
Yay!
Jim Brown returns to Tasmania to visit Hawley House. Lynn Talbot looks at the humorous side of health and well-being. Ian Hewitson... I know. What's so...
Lynn Talbot laugh.
The humorous side.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Ha! I've got a pus-filled boil on my arm. Ha!
Ian Hewitson prepares fish and chips with a beer batter. Ross Greenwood reports on dual occupancy. I don't know what that is either. And Ronnie Burns demonstrates easy bike maintenance.
Ronnie Burns. Oh my God.
So I know plenty of... Which one of those would you ring the 0055 number to get the fact sheet for, Rob?
Oh, anything to do with Ronnie Burns. Come on, he helped bring a gold medal Taekwondo champion into the world. So, and he sang a couple of songs as well.
Right.
Healthy, Wealthy, and Kick Ass.
On the ABC, we talked about Murder Most Horrid last episode, and that they started with the second episode of season 2. So thankfully, they're going back to the first episode of season 2 tonight, titled Overkill. In the midst of composing a suicide note to her mother, a distraught woman is interrupted by a hit woman who needs her room to set up a murder. There we go. Plenty of options there. Plus there's also the World Cup to look through. In fact, there's an ad for everybody's favourite electronic device, the G Code.
No.
Talking about the World Cup. Trust the Yanks to schedule the entire World Cup while Australia is either working or asleep. But if you invest, their word invest, in a G-Code instant video programmer, you won't miss a single goal. You see, G-Code makes programming your VCR simple. To record a match, you simply look up the special G-Code number in your TV guide and punch it into your programmer. It's that easy. All right, I've crapped on far long enough. We've got to get into the episode.
Thank you, Daniel. Rob, you are doing the intro for the show. For the
am I?
Yes, you do your best Mike Moore impression.
Yeah, you just keep on giving me all 15, 16-year-old Rob Lloyd is looking at you now going, thank you very much, Matthew. Just wait for when we get to Funky Squad. I'm going to be petitioning to get on for an episode of Funky Squad so I can do my best. Hey, you wouldn't say much if you got a bullet in the tongue.
Ah, cool. So here's the theme going, and just warm up your vocals, and as soon as it's about to kick into the end, that's when you do your impression. It goes from there. All right.
Hello, I'm Rob Lloyd. This is Frontline, Season 1, Episode 11, Smaller Fish to Fry. Broadcast Monday, July 18, 1994.
And well done for putting in a bit of vocal fry when you said the word fry.
Fry.
Yeah.
That's
I think you're channeling the first person to appear in this episode, quite possibly.
Which was?
Well, we haven't got to that point yet. we're almost there. No spoilers.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah.
Come on, you've already watched it. You must know.
I have. I've been watching it over and over again.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's too obsessive. So the synopsis of this episode, Mike investigates the story of his career. However, it could incriminate some of the nation's top businessmen. The powers that be want the story dropped. Will Mike stick to his guns? Find out. But re-watching the episode again just to get these notes and stuff like that, all the flags were there, like the forward thinking of straight up the very beginning of it. The episode does start out with a Media Watch segment pointing out an Easy Target story about a refrigerator repairman ripping off customers. A very piss-weak story that Marty does. And Stuart Littlemore calls him out.
Yet another easy target for Mike Moore and the team at Frontline, the refrigerator repairman, public enemy number one. Oh, how very brave of you. Ever wonder why current affairs programs never go after the big fish? I do.
Straight up there, sets the standard for the episode, and it just builds up and crumbles down from there.
Now also, just a slightly nerdy thing, but the little graphic to illustrate the Frontline piece on Media Watch says that this, well, technically it happens in the future because, the episode screened in July, but all of the events are taking place in October 1994.
Pedantry.
Well, not necessarily pedantry, nothing wrong with it, but maybe they're able to see into the future,
Well, a lot of people have already been commenting about, how a utopia, had envisioned for all the difficulties with Tasmania getting its own stadium. So, they're just revealing more and more their ability to see into the future. So Working Dog pass on a bit of that clairvoyant activity to the rest of us.
But they can only see a few months, so it's not that good a superpower.
True.
Well, it's still happening. So
also in the script, they do mention that it's October because they have to shoot the Christmas messages. There's a line that Jan has a bit later. So that's why they have to sort of move it forward in time.
Can I just say, Stuart Littlemore, what a wonderful voice. You could just hear if he just eviscerated me on national television, I'd still get a kick out of it. You just tell me how horrible and degenerate I was, and I should be reaching to a higher standard. Go, talk down to me, Stuart Little. Tell me how bad I am.
It feels like you're confessing your kink here.
Yeah, we were talking about the newspapers just a minute ago.
We're bringing it all out. We're doing the wet newspapers kink. We're doing my Stuart Littlemore kink. Kim,
so
you're next.
Stuart Littlemore with a wet newspaper, and that's your ultimate.
Stop it, Alison. I don't know if I can handle
it. To be fair, you can go quite down the YouTube rabbit hole looking at 90s Media Watch clips of the OG classic Stuart Littlemore era.
Do something allegedly naughty and then hire him as a QC or KC.
KC nowadays, yeah.
Yeah. And he even brings the band with him as well.
That's the way he likes it.
The Sunshine Band, definitely.
Yeah. So Mike is inspired by Media Watch's comments, but Marty and Brian brush it off. Meanwhile, Rob gets a call from supposed hack reporter Bob Foster, which Mike decides to go down that track of, well, he's not too bad. He's written some pretty good stuff, but he's burnt his bridge. Yeah,
he's an investigative journalist who I think probably annoyed the higher ups and sort of kind of the area we're sort of working in this episode. And so he's freelance now, this Bob Foster guy. But you can imagine he was the sort of bloke who might have been at The Age or the Sydney Morning Herald or something and, uncovered some government scandal, and that just got too close to the bone for his bosses and they sacked him.
Yeah, Marty does refer to him as a second-rate journalist, but I don't think we should take what Marty says with a grain of salt. He's a very cynical, cynical
what
man.
What rate of journalist is Marty at? Like fourth?
Look, he does have a Walkley Award. He does have a Walkley Award that he keeps hidden.
No, it's a banana. Brooke and Emma talk celebrity interviews.
How'd you go with that Hutchins thing?
Nah, initial interest, then things went downhill.
Did you tell him it was with me?
Yeah, just before things went downhill.
Ooh, what do we owe this new fake cockiness?
Look, I think I may have a better interview. The Prime Minister's office rang. He's a possibility.
Aye.
Can you imagine that? The PM of the time. And
Paul Keating.
Paul
Keating. Just love to be insulted by him.
Oh, gee, that in a well-classed Italian suit. Oh, I'll tell you what.
In the Xenia.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With a few antique clocks ticking away in the background.
He could put his hand behind my back and guide me down a procession anytime.
Did you say hand or ham?
You can interpret that whichever way you want, Matthew.
You can sign my $5 note anytime.
He did have a pig farm, so it could well be ham.
There we go.
Yes, exactly. That's right.
Yes.
Now, also, we've got Brooke counting calories as well. So, quick, what is 157 divided by 7? Nobody?
What is it, Daniel?
22.42857142886. And yes, I am reading that off my notes.
It's not pi then.
But she can have lots of that though, because can't you have 1,200 calories or something? I don't know. I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but keep in mind it is renegotiation time.
And so she's got to lose weight. So yeah, okay.
But that was the big running gag of season 1 of Frontline, was that she was always trying to get the Michael Hutchins interview. It's brought up a couple of times in the season, or am I just reimagining something that wasn't there?
Probably right.
There is a storyline later on in the series where, there is another Michael Hutchins interview. Talking about questions you can and can't ask.
Yes. There you go. I was right. Daniel helped me there, so he didn't see into my soul. He saw into my heart and gave it a nice little hug. Thank you, Daniel.
He gave it a nice little hand.
He did, with a $5 note signed by Steve Vizard.
Well, later in his office, Mike is on the phone to Bob Foster.
How'd you like to go after a big fish?
I'd love to go after a big... Sorry, what have you got?
Can you be in the Hyatt lobby by 12?
Sure, but... Sorry, why me?
No, I'll explain.
Sorry, what name are you travelling under?
Bob Foster.
Straight. Trying to make it all
I like
scandalous.
this. There's a running joke throughout the episode of trying to use like spy sort of pseudonyms and stuff, like it's a John le Carré plot. It's great.
This is what I love about season 1 and season 2 of Frontline. Mike is such a beautiful creation. He's just a 3-dimensional character. I mean, and he's just got so much levels and range, and just how the excitement he gets into playing this like espionage type thing. All right, Traveller, do you hear all this type of stuff? I love that so much. And they kind of lost it a bit in season 3 when he became just pretty much the representation of Ray Martin. But in season 1 and 2, he was his own character. He existed within the world of Ray Martin and Stan Grant and Yana Vent. And I love that. I just love, you see Rob Sitch really giving his all. He just wants to be good, but he's caught up by his own hubris and his own, clumsiness and emotional ineptitude. It's this is a really good episode to highlight Rob Sitch as a performer, because he'd done mostly just sketch comedy stuff, but he really has to push his range with the comedy. But there's some beautiful acting moments with him and Bruno Lawrence, and that's one of the great actors of New Zealand in the last 50 years. Sadly, no longer with us after season 1, but he matches Bruno so beautifully.
Well, I was going to say the whole fact that Mike was talking about fishing, and all I've thought of was a river somewhere, seasons 1 and 2. But that's
when's that gonna get a 4K release? When's that gonna get a Blu-ray release?
Well, there's a foreshadowing. 3 years later.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be way off. If we're yet to hit Funky Squad, yeah, like a river somewhere is like way past that.
If you're going to keep on doing this, you're going to have to do every single episode of The Panel as well.
Oh, we can't do that.
I don't think we can do that.
Okay, that we have hit the point. The hill you will not die on, and that hill is The Panel.
We'll do the Mick Malloy show. We'll do the Mick Malloy show.
Of course, you got to do Mick Malloy.
And there's only 8 episodes of that, so that's pretty easy. But
who would you sleep with if you were gay?
Oh,
that's the only segment I remember.
Oh man,
Jeff Jantz. But there was actually one thing talking about Mike Moore's character. There was an article which I found from 1994 in one of the reader reviews, or viewer diary, I should say, from the Age/Sydney Morning Herald, and that is David Schwartz and Urgel Schwartz. I do apologise because the name is actually quite blurred. Or I'll just go with that. So they're arranged at the age 13 and 15. And David says that he lives for The Simpsons every night at 6 p.m, even though they're repeats, addicted to it, blah, 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 blah. I like some American soaps like Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place. There's no real substance or depth, but they're fun to watch. I like anything that the D generation does. I thought The Late Show was great. I don't like current affairs shows like Real Life and A Current Affair. I don't find their stories relevant. That's why I like Frontline. I think it accurately sends them up. And then his sister says, absolutely fabulous, has finished, and I'm looking forward to more of it. It was so over the top. I also really like Frontline. Mike Moore is such a dope, but all of the characters are really funny. It's probably a bit exaggerated, but it could be pretty close to what happens in TV current affairs. And then they go on about watching Vidiot and the Footy Show.
Wow, like you wouldn't think that a show like that would appeal to people as young as, was it 13 and 15?
Yeah.
I was around about, that was like, I was around about, 15, 16 for that type of stuff.
Yeah, I was 16 when I was watching Frontline, so it doesn't feel like a stretch.
Yeah,
really.
I was 13,
Yeah, I was
14.
in year 12, so I was a bit older, 17, but I can see the 15-year-old at least interested in that.
Emma and Brooke prep for the PM's interview when Brooke knows nothing about politics. So it's just like, hey, get it on for a profile piece, a fluff piece. But it's like, so what are you wearing type thing, or some gossipy type crap. Meanwhile, Mike meets with Bob and calls out Frontline for not going for the big fish. And when Mike claims that the list of Bond, Skase, and Sir Joe were big fish, he does point out that they were really easy targets.
It's a beautiful written scene. That whole point of we went after, Bond, out of money, out of friends. Skase, out of money, out of the country. Joe Bjelke Pearson, he's out of his mind. Beautiful, just beautiful, like sketch comedy style music.
It's a lovely
rhythm.
escalation, isn't it? As well, the way that
Easily.
it just builds up to out of his mind. Yeah,
but done just beautifully, like made to be so natural, like having such a quality cast working off each other.
The other bit that I really like in that scene was, Mike talks about the fridge repairman, and he ripped off someone by $80, and then he says to and then Bob Foster says, well, $80, that's nothing, and he says, yeah, but multiply that by 1 million, and then Bob Foster goes, why?
I love how this is a thing about Mike that he does so well in as a character. He's just a sponge, and he just parrots what other people tell him. And so with the whole, he is convinced by Brian saying the whole
Brian in a previous scene, wasn't it, who said that but if you multiply the $80 by whatever, then it's huge
100.
amount.
Yeah, and Marty still knocks him down all the time. He's like, whose side are you on? But Mike picks that up
buys
and
it.
uses it.
Yeah.
I think my favourite bit of that scene is at the end when Bob and Mike go to their respective cars, and Bob says, crusading doesn't pay, to which Mike says, I thought that was crime, and Bob retorts beautifully, oh no, crime pays beautifully.
Just like Jeff and
Great
Terry
writing.
Bailey. Yeah, they know. So it's $50.
It's a cork finish. It's a cork finish.
We recommend hosing down when on fire.
Just want to add before we move on. Bob Foster was played by Aussie actor John Arnold, and he's a fabulous job as playing this rough sort of like he's got the tip of a cigarette just in his mouth, like he's just about to he's perpetually just about to roll a cigarette in every situation, and that's what I love about these early days of Frontline. They just cast really solid, experienced actors, so that these inexperienced performers in the world of dramatic performance, like Rob and Jane, they can match it. They level up to these great Aussie actors coming in and just doing a bit part once a week.
I should have asked him to come on the show. I totally forgot. My fault. Whoops.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not John Arnold, but I'll try my best.
Can you do a rough impression of him?
Oh, well, he's out of his mind. Oh, crime pays very well.
Thank you. Done.
I'll just go by my name.
Feels like this sort of bloke who'd turn up in Janus or Phoenix or something, doesn't he? Yeah.
I think I did see him while Charlie the Wonder Dog was running through one of the shots. Oh, no, not Phoenix. Not Phoenix. It's a cop show.
Obscure, and I like it. It's contract renegotiation / Christmas promo time, and Jan and Brian discuss with rolled eyes.
They all want a higher profile in order to up the ante. Drives me absolutely mad.
You could have a lot of fun, really, in your position, couldn't you?
I'm sorry?
More profile? I don't think there's much point, Poppet.
Brian!
An article on you? Now, waste of time, really.
Don't tempt me, Brian. Oh, that is very good. Who is that?
He's actually impersonating the wife of the mayor from Parks from the 60s. You have to think about that one.
What is the actress's name who played Jan? I've tried to find her name and I...
Oh, Genevieve Mui.
Amazing. They only used her in season 1 and 2. They brought in the wonderful Linda Gibson to play the publicist type role in season 3. But Genevieve is just that accent and that character of Jan. Oh, I love her so much.
She's in that Netflix Mania series that was sort of when did it get launched? A couple of months ago, I think.
Yeah, we'll just not talk about
Yeah.
that because
it's Loki nominated, by the way.
It's up against Have You Been Paying Attention and the front bar.
Would you say that looks at the humorous side of health and well-being?
Ooh, I don't
Well,
think
Mania.
so.
It depends if you find it funny, which I personally didn't, but I'm sure there are other people who enjoyed it.
Very diplomatic. Well done.
During a coffee, Mike does go through Bob's evidence of his potential bank and fraud scandal.
Half the networks want money borrowed from him. Major players, government connections. You can join the dots.
Sorry, can you join them for me?
There are some times when I just can't quite believe that he, was actually hired by the ABC as a journalist in his previous career. Apparently, he was at 7:30 Report Perth or something. You just can't imagine he'd even get like a junior journalist job, a cadet job. He's such a dumbass.
Oh, he means well.
Yeah, but you kind
In
of got to
some
have
ways.
you got to have a bit of intelligence to be a journalist, even if you just use that on dodgy dry cleaners or something.
He likes his investigative journalism. Investigative.
That's something that was a regular conversation in our household back in the day of going, how did Mike do this? How did he get to this position if he's that? But there's one episode, I think it's Give Him Enough Rope. I don't know if that's I think it's season 2. And it is season 2. Yeah, it's the last episode of season 2.
It's the last one, yeah.
And
it's a similar sort of scenario where he has to have the dots joined for him in terms of media ownership.
But he figures it out at the end. He's sort of like helped along the way, but then you think, oh, he's just going to do another dunderhead thing, and then right at the end you get that flip of, there he is. That's the journalist that made his way up to the ranks. But yeah, sorry, that's a spoiler for when you get to that episode at the end of season 2.
Don't go too far ahead. Oh wait, just like season 3 episode. Trust me, we already got something in the bank that was provided by Boris. So Boris.
And if I'm already jumping ahead to hopefully you do Funky Squad. So.
Oh, okay. Yep. You'll be part of Funky Squad. You got to twitch with your eye.
So I just got something in my eye. So it's just the high pollen. It's the high pollen count.
Oh.
For those listening, Rob was winking. He was winking.
Don't give it away. Don't give away my. Cut this part out. It's all the magic of cinema. I mean, podcasting. So, meanwhile, Marty and Stu and Jace are stalking out the dry cleaning story, which
we kind of glossed over it, but it was basically an idea of Domenica's as Emma protests, it's entrapment.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
The idea
is
to put you put $50 in a jacket pocket, and then you put the jacket in at the dry cleaners, and you see if the $50 is still there when it's returned to you.
Yep. And
if it's not there, you basically barge in with the camera
them
and have a little chat.
There's some of my favorite scenes in Frontline of just those shots of the entire cast just around the table, and so just everyone talking over each other and all these moments and all these little things, and there's just a performance. There's a whole story going on behind every actor, and we've only got the main leads of the main part, but like Shelley and Kate, and we even get a character of Assunta. We never meet Assunta, I don't think, but she's almost as if she's a character that we meet.
That moment, it establishes something down the track. So there's a couple of layers with what's going on here, because while they're in the car, Stu, like the way you hear it, it's just like a simple conversation brush off. But Stu realizes that the tapes aren't being labeled properly, and it's like going, hey, could be a mistake or error down the track, could be lose the tapes or get erased. So that's on top of the dry cleaning stuff, which also evolves down the track, unfolds.
It's sort of Chekhov's videotape.
Yeah.
It's very easy to label it. You just, I'm sure you've all spelt it on your VHSs. PORN. I thought Alison was about to pull out some porn just at that exact same moment. She pulled out,
Depends if you think this is porn or not.
The Frontline book with the centerfold.
With Mike with just a tie on that goes all the way down. That's hard-hitting investigation.
Yeah. It's Jeffrey Salter pointing at that H in the nutty. Things are very squiggly down there.
Bit of a cold front.
Be careful, it may take your eye out.
Yeah. So Mike shows Brian the documents that Bob Foster had provided, but Brian is a little hesitant about it, and with due course. But back to the dry cleaning, the money has been removed from the clothing, and Marty now has a story to chase down.
But there was actually something else in the script book, and I think I might have been the only one to find it. Okay, so that short scene where Stu runs out from the dry cleaners with the jacket. In the script book, the roles are reversed. It's Marty that comes out from the dry cleaners. Stu asks, is the money gone? Marty says, yeah, and so is our dry cleaner. Stu says, let's nail him. But on screen, it's the other way around. It's Marty asking, is the money gone? Stu says yes. Marty says, let's nail him.
Oh, it does too, yeah. And you know that Stu was wearing a Triple M t-shirt. He's got a novelty shirt on every time.
Yeah, he was.
And
who says you can't advertise on the ABC?
Yeah. Did you know in an original draft they actually had Jay Stewart, but then they realised he wasn't speaking, so they just moved Thank you very much. That's why you brought in the big guns. Thank you very much.
There we go. You're the first one off the rank for that one.
So do you think they switched it for the show because people might have thought, oh, Marty's quite well known and they couldn't have him go in there and get the shirts, they might be recognised or something like that?
I think that's the exact reason, personally.
So there's actually a scene that we haven't talked about, which is Brooke and Emma are discussing the Michael Hutchins interview and, you know, the interview with the Prime Minister. And in the script book, there's actually a cut scene. And Daniel, do you have it? Maybe you could play one part and I could play the other, or something like that.
Sure, I'm not wearing a red jacket, but I think I'll be fine with it for this audio medium.
The role you're born to play.
Okay, so I'm going to start right down the bottom of the sort of first column. So this is the cut section. Emma says to Brooke, aren't you even slightly tempted to make it a hard-hitting interview? And this is referring to the interview with the Prime Minister.
And Brooke says, no, I just want the interview. You get the big interviews, you get ahead. You don't get ahead by pissing people off. So what if this is all about popularity and appearances?
For who?
Well, for both of us. You can't burn the big ones. It gets around. And anyway, I'm not an experienced political journalist. If I go in half-cocked, I'm doing everyone a disservice. I've got a better chance of revealing things by concentrating on the personal side.
That sounds like a reasonable explanation.
That's why I use it all the time.
Now, it's interesting, this scene, isn't it? Because, like, it's very much kind of hammering you over the head with what this episode is about, which is, you know, you don't make waves if you want to stay employed in this world. And I guess it's sort of a contrast with, you know, Mike's approach with Bob Foster of, you know, going for it.
It definitely telegraphs. Yeah. It definitely telegraphs that, you know, losing the Prime Minister because of Mike's work would have telegraphed it a bit clearer. I like how it sort of like comes out of the blue with the final cut. So it's some smart editing by you know, Rob, Jane, Santo, and Tom. It's a beautiful little scene, but yeah, it's sort of like that power hits more when they all find out at the same time, and we can dot the I's and cross the T's.
So with Emma telling Brooke that Michael Hutchins is up for the chat right now at the very moment, Brooke has other plans and would rather have the PM and start fresh in the new year with a bang. I mean, Hutchins. So bit of a wordplay there. So while he's sniffing out the highlighter ozone, Mike is on the phone. Did you notice that? He's having a...
Yep.
Yeah. Getting high off the highlight supply. Mike is on the phone to Bob saying that the story is
him.
No, Traveller.
I thought it was him traveling. I thought it was him trimming his nose hairs.
No.
He was sniffing the highlighter.
Sniffing the highlighter, yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Maybe he was highlighting his nose hair.
There you go.
He could have been doing both. There you go.
Or he's on the phone to the traveller. There we go. Saying that it's a goer. But the traveller calls out the behind the scenes, claiming that Brian has probably got the documents filed away in his desk drawer. And Mike ends up proving the traveller right after rummaging through Brian's desk. And that's where Emma catches Mike, and while he's going, oh, you know, that thingy. Yeah.
And he was looking for the thing, that thing, and then, it's over there.
No. I was yelling at the TV going, he wants the stapler clip remover, the staple remover thing. But
I know that's that.
The claw thing.
Maybe
that's a
what he
pinching movement
uses.
as opposed to a...
Maybe that's what he uses for his nasal.
For his nasal hair.
All
That would
comes
be a
round.
rather it'd be a rather difficult way of removing nasal hairs, but you know, whatever you're into, guys, not kink shaming you at all.
Not kink shaming here. That if there's a theme for this episode, Alison, we do not kink shame.
Yeah.
Welcome to the kink. No, never mind. I won't start. In the production suite, though, Hugh palms off one of Marty's unlabeled tapes and for the dry cleaning story. And Stu's like, I should label these. It's in a recycling bin. Again, layering it on. And in the kitchen, Mike calls out Brian's bullshit about the bank story.
Mike, I want to know the big stories as much as you, but fraud is a difficult beast.
Jesus, Brian, these people have ripped off millions.
Oh, millions. You divide that by the number of customers and you got...
Oh, I see. So we divide these guys, but we multiply the fridge repairman, do we? You just don't want to do it.
Hey, wait a
You're
sec.
fobbing me off.
Wait a
You're
sec.
fobbing me off.
Since when did I back off getting us ratings?
I guess.
Now, look, mate, this sort of story is very complex. You know, you've got loans, trust funds. Our audience simply doesn't have the concentration span. Mike?
Sorry.
I love that bit where Mike's having a go at him, and then Brian says, he just completely twists the conversation and says, since when did I back off getting us ratings?
Yeah.
You know, that is such a good way of manipulating that conversation in his favor, isn't it?
And it shows just how single-minded Mike is, because is Mike doing this for the ratings, or is he doing it for the big story? So, of course, with Brian knowing exactly what to say, if Mike was actually doing this for the journalistic integrity, he goes, I don't give a crap about the ratings. But he gets to that later on. And that's what I was talking about earlier. That scene is just amazing, where they're overlapping dialogue. And that's the beauty of The Late Show with its satire, is that it balances drama with comedy, so that on a heartbeat, on a hairpin, it can go from overlapping dialogue on top of each other to, you know, Mike getting distracted just like their viewers, and you get that moment of comedy relief. Just incredible writing. And just like the moment of going, oh right, so we times that, but we divide the other thing. Great writing.
But you're noticing throughout the entire episode, though, that all of them are bad at math.
Yeah.
They can't calculate.
That's right. That's a good observation. The calorie counting as well.
Yeah.
They didn't have Daniel on set with his maths that he can do off the top of his head. Right, Daniel?
Getting the scientific calculator out.
Look, I spelled shell.
Shell oil. That's a nice shit sked reference.
Thank you.
Boobs.
Yeah, boobs. So after the dry cleaning story goes to air, Dom approaches Mike in the supplies room. Oh.
It was a good show tonight, Mike.
Yeah, well, it was your story.
Yeah. You look really good on camera, Mike.
Oh, thank you.
I kind of like you off camera, too. Oh, sorry.
No, don't be.
Oh, Mike, no, this is really stupid.
No,
This is really
don't be.
stupid. No, I've got to go. I'm going to go. No, I better go.
Oh.
Tension.
And then you see Brian is observing the whole thing from offside, and the expression on his face, he looks like he's won the lottery.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that for you guys when... 'cause I remember that moment. I remember when I was a teenager watching it, and I'd seen that tension between Dom and Mike all the way through. It's so like this juvenile type of naive, like, you know, unaware that they're flirting back and forth. And for this to finally happen, I remember I'm there going, this is actually happening. I can't believe they're actually doing it. Are they really? And then it breaks. But how did you guys, do you remember having that same type of shock that this is actually happening, or was it out of the blue for you guys?
It'd been so long that I didn't even remember that scene. And when I watched it, it's like, oh, interesting. About time they did. Oh, okay, that was it. Jeez. Yeah, because I was expecting them to hook up eventually. I just couldn't remember when or if they did it.
For me, I thought that, they would hook up, but perhaps not as suddenly as in the stationery
with all that stolen paper.
Yeah, definitely. Watching it again, there was that tension building up, and then that sense of, oh man, they didn't get together at the end. Only Heather Locklear in the background watching as well as
There's like
Did you notice
posters.
that?
There's posters of Johnny Depp in the background of the kitchen at points. It's really weird to see all those
very
mid-90s
very early
stuff.
to mid 90s references everywhere.
But also there was that scene in the episode that we watched last time, the party one, where, Mike kind of slags off Dom and says, she's not very intelligent. He didn't want her to come to his party, and hang out with George Negus and all his celebrity mates. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? I think it's done very
the only
subtly.
thing that sort of sours it for me is that this encounter does get used as a plot point later on.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't want to spoil it right now. I mean, if you
if you have not seen the episode and you're watching this podcast, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. That's a deep dive.
Even better, if you don't want to know the score, look away now.
Look away from intently watching your podcast player of choice.
I definitely see that, Alison, that Mike always played himself on a higher level. He tried to, I'm more intelligent, or I work with a higher crowd type stuff. But there were moments when the two of them would just spark off each other, and he would let go of his sort of like convoluted ideas of himself. And in many ways, he's like quite teenagery of going, oh, I didn't want to invite her along because we've got all these sophisticated people and all this type of stuff. But when he got away from that bullshit of his own ego, there's some sort of naivety there that connects well with Dom, that they kind of lost after that moment, because then it gets caught up in the mean-spiritedness of it all.
Nice innocence that they both share, I think, those characters.
Yep.
The next day, Mike meets up with Bob and asks for the vision for the story, which Bob does supply the hidden footage taped to Dubs. Where were they? Were they against the Melbourne River, Yarra, do you think?
Yeah, it looked like they were on that lake, didn't they? Where the Grand Prix goes around.
Oh, Albert Park.
Yeah, Albert Park.
Rob, hopefully you know.
Yes, idiot. We all go walking along Albert Park, and then we go see the Yu Yangs from the foot of Mount Dandenong.
There we go.
That's the one. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
I barely know Melbourne, even from the brief visit last year. I know Adelaide a lot better, but they don't shoot a lot of stuff around Adelaide.
They shoot Mortal Kombat in South Australia, but
they did.
But yeah, it does seem a little bit Lake Albert area there, which is quite serene, and it looks a little bit Canberra-esque, which is
it does, doesn't it?
It made me feel like they're at Lake Burley Griffin. So I'm there going, that's why it's in.
Yeah.
That's probably what the image they were trying to be like a political.
Well, they're talking about government. A John Grisham novel, and so it's kind of echoes of Washington DC and the lakes around there.
In the kitchen, Emma and Brooke are with the PM's public relations people, and they basically allow them to just remove whatever questions they want, just bending way to the PM's people.
Yeah, and they've got the nice biscuits out as well. They've got lovely plate of jam and chocolate biscuits there, and the biscuits will be back a bit later in the episode.
Yeah, they're the whole.
They were a big thing in the mid to late 90s of those little tarts, jam tart things. Yeah, they were everywhere. Everyone could get them everywhere, and now they're gone.
You can still get those little tarts with the jam on.
Oh, well, they're probably going to go by the wayside like fantails unless we're careful.
Yeah. It just gets more ridiculous that each question that they strike off the list and the reasons they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's fine, it's fine. Oh, yeah, no, we're not going to ask that. No, we're not interested in that. And it just gets more ridiculous. And they just basically bowing to all of their PR people's demands to delete every single question.
It's really interesting. The guy who plays the main advisor who's reading it, he just seems to have the same, from an acting point of view, the same three gestures. Like he has hand on the chin, hand to them, and then cross the arms. And all he does is seem to go from chin acting to hand acting to crossing arm acting, and he just alternates between those three. And because I've watched this episode like 3 times before coming on, I pointed out and became, especially when he's going up against powerhouse performers like Alison White and Jane Kennedy, who are play at their A game, it kind of stood out as a little bit stilted for me. Sorry to the actor out there if he listens to or if you've had him on. Have you had him on before? I know you've had the Piss Week kids on, so I don't know if you've already had.
We haven't had this particular guy on. To be fair, he's got about 3 lines of dialogue, and there's only so much character.
I know, but even with 3 lines, it stood out so much. I'm there going, yeah, that's just me. Maybe I'm being overly critical, Alison.
No, this is what this
podcast
I
don't
is
know.
about.
My high school drama teacher used to say there are no small parts, only small actors, and that's possibly something you can keep in mind. But yeah, he doesn't get a lot.
I'm a drama teacher, and I use
with.
that to my kids as well.
Do you? Oh, that's lovely that's gone through the generations.
Oh, it sticks around, and I'm going to pass that on to the next generation of drama teachers that come through.
Play that clip to them and say, "Do not act like this."
See that? Don't do that. Okay. Don't do this. If there's listeners, we are doing all the acting of crossing arms and putting our hands on our chins.
Yes.
You can take it out if you want.
It's up to you.
Well, do you want to do it at the lodge? A bit more personal.
Oh, that's now that whole scene. I'm now no longer going to look at it.
You've ruined that scene for me now, Rob.
I'm sorry.
Never watch it again.
You can't unsee it.
Just bring us some truth bombs to Champagne Comedy.
Yes.
Don't even get me started on the photocopy repair guy and his acting.
Hey,
oh my
Colin
gosh.
Conacher. There's nothing wrong with Colin Conacher.
Where's Conacher watch?
Yeah, where's Conacher?
You know what? He's feeling a little alone.
Is he here?
I don't know. No, I have not. I did not notice Colin.
I don't
Conacher.
think he's in this, is he?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think I spotted him, but maybe we just weren't looking hard enough.
I had a very tiny moment, right?
Maybe he's got an off-screen role.
The scene where Marty goes and confronts the dry cleaners. There's a bloke standing, in the background of the scene, and I did wonder, and I actually paused. I thought, is that Tom Gleisner? No. And then I realised it probably wasn't. But anyway, so I was desperate to find him, but I just
thought they might have a photocopier that needed fixing.
No, he was a dry cleaner worker, and I don't think it was him, but I just had this moment where I go, hang on, is that him? Nah.
I love how the fact that it's shot like they shot it on low quality like home video camera for the behind the scenes. Yeah, the high quality stuff for on camera stuff. And so there's a beautiful moment where you see DeStasio go into the dry cleaner and you see it in the low
very
quality.
High quality, isn't it?
And then and then they play it how it is on the episode, and it's the high quality. I love that shift from you see how it is in reality and how it is on TV. I love that duality that they just capture so beautifully. It's such a simple idea, but it works so beautifully.
Brian acknowledges the tape that Mike provides, and Kate gets it run down to Hugh to dub it, and with Marty telling Hugh to make sure to label it. Yeah, good one. Foreboding. So the general manager in Pharma calls Brian to tell him to run the story, but only if legal can clear it, and everything is read between the lines, Brian. So keep your nose clean on this one.
And you can't play golf with me, Brian.
Yeah.
As the script book says, understanding gradually dawns on Brian.
Mike talks to Jeff about the thrill of chasing down the story. And very short parts for Jeff.
Yeah, he doesn't get much in this, does he?
Yeah.
But there is potential consequences.
There's not going to be any problems about you doing it?
No. Brian's speaking to Farmer now. There shouldn't be any problems.
What sort of problems?
Now, don't get excited. You just have to tread carefully, maybe hold it over for a while.
Yeah, so careful, Mike. And it's all starting to unravel for Mike now.
There's also a great reference to Woodward and Bernstein.
Oh, yeah.
Which, again, Rob, you were talking about how dumb Mike is. Not to have known that they're the two that broke Watergate, and then referring to them later as Woodford and Redford. Like I know it's American, but like it's pretty well known, I would think, in journalistic circles. They must teach it in journalism
It's
school.
well known outside of journalistic circles. But also, didn't Robert Redford play either Woodward or Bernstein in the film?
Well, that's the moment. So Brian says Woodford and Bernstein, and Mike goes, who? And he goes, the ones who broke Watergate. He goes, oh yeah, Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. So he knows all the president's men.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the image has been tweaked a little bit as per Brian. When Mike wraps up the show, Emma does approach the desk when Mike wraps up, pretending to talk, including it's like, well, you can't just talk to me like this. You got to have it. Be prepared. Don't you have any hobbies? Be prepared.
That's my favorite line. It goes, you've got hobbies, haven't you? Here, take this back to props.
Yeah, take the paper, the pile of papers back to props. That's the best bit. Yeah.
And Brian giving Dom the day off while Mike has been called up to management for a chat, unquote.
Mike, I've never liked these conversations.
The story. No, look, we have rock-solid evidence, Mr. Cal. We've got the tape now and all the information and documents, and I think we should run the story.
Story? What story?
Bam, bam, bam.
He's good at playing the slimy character Peter Stratford as Mr. Cavill. And I think he comes back in season 2 rocking a sinister beard. But he always played that role so well, and especially the line.
It's the voice, isn't it?
The voice is great.
It's
the
so
sliminess
creepy.
of it, and I think he delivers the line that I no doubt was put in specifically by the comedy writers that just had to cancel a couple of sitcoms.
It says it really slow. He says, I just had to axe a couple of sitcoms. And it's like you feel the presence of death.
And just on the side of his lips, his smile just ever so slightly, and you go.
It's a bit Vincent Price, isn't it? It's a slight echo of Vincent Price. But I just want to point out here that the lovely plate of jam and chocolate biscuits and the tea set is exactly the same as in the scene with the Prime Minister's office. So just pedantry me on that. Pedantry. Thank you.
Maybe the advisors just were watching their weight, just
That's
like
right.
Brooke, and didn't want to eat anything.
So you're suggesting that this
They just
channel
took 'em away.
recycles plates of biscuits
Yeah.
around various meetings?
There's lots of carrots eaten around the studio, just not the jam tarts and biscuits.
So we find out the bombshell that Mike could be up for a sexual harassment charge.
Brian gives Mike a hypothetical ultimatum to drop the story, but Mike's not having any of it to a point. So off he trots to record the Christmas promo. And Emma gives Brooke some of the bad news because of Mike's potential expose.
Prime Minister's office just rang. It's a no.
What?
You've got cold feet. Apparently, this story of Mike's, all sorts of shit's flying around. They won't go near us. Someone's had a word with Maria.
Jesus.
Darling, can this wait?
Right for me, Jan?
Uncle, you blew my interview with the Prime Minister. Oh, apparently they got wind of your stupid story. They decided to pull it. You dumb bastard. How could they have...
How do we get on with this now,
You
please?
are unbelievable.
Thank you.
Why would that have... Hi, I'm Brooke Vandenberg from Frontline. I'd like to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year. You're an asshole, Mike.
God, imagine the editor there would have just a very quick cut, wouldn't you, away from that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Matthew would be able to do it.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Brooke had actually called Mike? So did she say rats,
Dumb
gosh,
bastard.
bother, or gee, I'm annoyed with myself?
I think it was shit magnet.
According
I haven't heard Fuck
to
Knuckle
the
for a
script book, it is Fuck Knuckle.
Have a listen to it one more time.
Darling, can this wait?
Right for me, Jan?
Uncle, you blew my interview with the Prime Minister.
Yeah, right there.
You can hear the uncle at the end.
Yeah.
And how good is Jane Kennedy in this scene, having to turn on a dime, going from seething rage to Christmas goodness.
Look, this whole theme of this episode has turned out to be don't kink shame, but if I could put up with Stuart Littlemore belittling me, if I could have Jane Kennedy just call me a fuck knuckle and swear at me
And you
in
bastard.
public,
Yeah.
in public, that would make my life. 16-year-old Robbie would be very happy, as well as 45-year-old Robbie.
Well, I'm sure Mike Moore, aka Rob Sitch, was also very happy.
The girls
Brought a bit
happy.
of their home life.
Yeah.
Jeff tells Mike that he's onto a great story, but Mike starting to have second thoughts now, read between the lines. But Stu is freaking out to Brian because he has discovered that Hugh has potentially wiped Mike's hot tape because it wasn't labelled.
The thing is not even labelled. Do you think he's done a bloody dub?
Brian, can I have a word with you?
Mike, you're not going to believe this, but we think Huey's taped over the bank book. It's gone. Whether we want to or not, there's no way we can run the story.
Great. That you told me.
As Mike approaches Bob about the bad news, the traveller, with Mike saying that he's prepared to walk if the story didn't go to air, but because the footage was gone, there was no point, and the story's dead in the water until Hugh finds the tape. That's a nice little twist right at the end.
It's a beautiful shot scene. Like you have Rob Sitch and John Arnold in like profile right up at the foreground, and you've got the staircase in the background with this perfect shot of where Huey has to go. Sure, you don't hear the footsteps until like his last three, so that means Huey just flew down the stairs, hit the last three, and then turned and went, found it. So that man has the ability to like hover like a Dalek does downstairs.
It's amazing that you don't hear him sooner, considering all the coughing he does.
Well, maybe he only had 3 steps to walk. That's just how unfit he is.
The editing suite is just right there.
Yes.
Right there at the stairs. Or he's like the T-Rex at the end of Jurassic Park. You don't hear a T-Rex at all come to attack the raptors at the end of it. So yes, Huey and the T-Rex have that same stealth ability.
It's definitely a brilliant twist after, that they've built up to this whole thing about the tapes potentially going to be dubbed over because we know about this potential thing happening, and then all of a sudden, and then what happened next?
Yeah, it does leave you to imagine what would have happened after that. About whether whether Bob and Mike's relationship may have survived this weirdness, for instance.
Probably didn't, I suspect, because they would never have put that story to air. They would have used any argument they could find, legal, ethical, whatever. They would have done.
That's the other thing. There's pressure over pressure, just building to steer Mike into not running the story. And like it's not just on Mike, but it's also on Brian and it's
Farmer.
It's coming from above and just filtering through all of this pressure.
It's an interesting thing. It's very much a product of television at the time, where television was, at this time, comedy especially, was episodical. There were elements, especially in season 1 and 2, of little elements of story arc. So you'd have a little bit of the Dom and Mike kind of romance. You'd have hints of Jeffrey having a crush on Emma. But it just was this episodic thing, so they didn't really carry on with it. So much like when they get into later shows like Hollow Man and even Utopia, it's even less character-based. It's more just the situations that are created. But here with Frontline, especially in season 1 and 2, they had those little elements of character arc, but not really story arc. So it would have been nice to have a carry on from that. But the gag is that's where it ends. So it's that sketch comedy thing of that's the end of the gag, that's the end of the sketch. Next week we move on to another one.
I hate to use the word punchline.
Thank God you didn't.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you could have gone for denouement, if you wanted.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, and it's got a bit of an accent too, so it's kind of classy.
It is almost very much, I am going to compare Frontline to one of the comedy great shows of all time, Fawlty Towers. It's that case of where in some ways you're kind of rooting for the bad situation. You're kind of there going,
Basil,
that Mike is in very ways like Basil. You're there going, the best thing to happen and the good thing to happen, that story does need to get out so that these people in power are exposed. But you're so invested in Mike and wanting him to survive, you're there going, yeah, God, I hope the story is destroyed or lost forever. And you're going, that's good writing, that you get caught up in it so much that you want the good thing to happen to the bad person.
Well, that concludes Frontline Season 1, Episode 11, and the Champagne Comedy Podcast, Episode 51. Hooray, we made it. 51.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
So feel free to, send us some random feedback or pedantry style notes that we missed out. Email champagnelateshow@gmail.com. Twitter @TLS.
Email us if you saw Colin Conacher.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
And visit the site champagnecomedy.com, Facebook, The Late Show page, or search for the Champagne Comedy Podcast group on Facebook. It's on private, but answer the 3 questions and you're in. Thank you, as always, to Alison, Daniel, and Kim, and our very special guest reviewer, Rob Lloyd from Innes Lloyd. Now, here's your chance to plug any shit you've got going again.
Thank you very much.
All good things, not just shit.
Yes.
Not just shit. I'll promote all the good things and the shit things, and you can decide which is which. So Innes Lloyd have got a couple of shows coming up. We've got we're actually doing our 30th anniversary show. Our anniversary one-off show for this year is the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park. So that's coming up.
Wow.
Before you finish that, this episode was recorded in June 2023.
If you want to come and see Innes Lloyd do our tribute to the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park, we've also got coming up, we're bringing back our show that we took to Adelaide Fringe, Journey to the Centre of the Earth, where we act out that classic novel in an hour. And plus, to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who in November, we're bringing back our comedy festival, Melbourne Comedy Festival show, Time Lord, back in November. So for all information about Innes Lloyd, for links to our YouTube channel where you can see all our clips from our Late Show tribute last year, go to innesloyd.com.au. And for me, personally, I'm doing later this year bringing in this second Shakespeare mashup show that I started with Shakespeare Aliens earlier this year. I'm directing and starring in Shakespeare Ghostbusters at the Motley Bauhaus in Melbourne. We open on Halloween. So we take that classic 1984 film Ghostbusters and we're going to act it out as if it was written by William Shakespeare himself.
Zool, where art they, Zool?
Zool, forsooth, where art thou? Yeah, who wilt thou call? All links for that are on the Motley Bauhaus website. And if you want to keep in touch with me, go to my Linktree. So that's Linktree / Rob Lloyd. And you can see get tickets to all my shows and find all my social medias and keep in touch with me there.
That is... Wow. we'll
very well organised.
So much interesting stuff going on.
Dude, you're doing a lot, and all we're doing is a podcast once a fortnight. Jeez.
I have been wanting to do this podcast
for
years. As soon as you guys started doing this, I've gone, who, as Mick Malloy would say, who do I have to root to get on this show?
What was the answer to that question?
Well, Daniel and I just got very intimate after the show. So.
Okay.
And we recorded it as well.
No kink shaming. No
kink shaming at all.
No.
I'm very pleased for both of you.
Honestly,
I got very sweaty on stage for an hour and then we sat down and pressed record and had an intimate chat for about 40 minutes. It was beautiful, Daniel.
Oh no,
nice.
It wasn't that long.
Okay, I was trying. Okay,
it might have been about 5-10.
Okay, look,
I think.
Because
there were a couple of revelations.
All right, Daniel.
Okay, you've just revealed too much about. Okay, I go for 40 or 50 minutes. All right, okay, not 5 minutes. I go for a long time.
Wait, 4.5 minutes, definitely not.
Yeah, that's enough time to eat the pizza.
So again, thank you so much, Rob, and we'll put all that information in the show notes of the podcast too. So I'm Matt. Thank you for listening. Catch you next episode. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Champagne Comedy Podcast, created by fans for the fans. For more information on this podcast, please visit champagnecomedy.com. Produced by Matt Fulton Productions, mattfulton.com.au.
All the yu-yangs real clear.
Good, you can dance to this one.
Everybody.
We just run out of Melbourne cliches.
Oh no.
We just run out of Melbourne cliches.
Car wash, mouthwash, acting college, Boy Scout, your shout, eating.
It's the end of the episode, but I forgot to mention that I was in an episode of Thank God You're Here, season 1. Do I have time to talk about that?
I'll think about it. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, well, no, I'll just show myself out.
Yeah.
Okay,
please. Thanks.
Okay,
You're embarrassing me.
Okay.